Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? You're all very welcome to episode 170. Is it 170? It is 170. Good Christ, Tom, get your shit in gear, will you? Welcome, everybody. Anybody who's new to Buckshot. What's the crack? I just do a little bit of a natter at the top. Say hello to everybody. Hello, how you keeping? Welcome. Join in. The sandwiches are over there. Sit down. No, don't do a thing. Don't do a thing. I have a pot brewing. Sit down there now. Sit down. Sandwiches. More biscuits, sandwiches. Sit down. I just be the old kind of nana of the whole affair. And I just have a bit of a natter. Say hello. Say thank you very much to the Patreons right at the top. Before we get to the proper business of actually introducing today's guest. Of course, as always, thank you very much, Patreons. Thanks. And to some new Patreons. Thanks. It's awesome. Brilliant to have you on board. You should look at the plethora of gear that's out in front of me right here now that I'm still kind of putting together. But all thanks to the Patreons. You paid for all of this. You are physically making the show. So I spent all of day yesterday rehashing and the stuff that I had done for Buckshot Sideshow that I think can be sharper. I need to get my head back around doing the computery side things of it as well, where you're kind of moving things around. So just bear with me, people. But Buckshot Sideshow will be coming back. If you're wondering what that is, go have a look for Buckshot Sideshow on my YouTube page. It's there in the playlist. I think there's about 10 episodes of it. You kind of get a vibe. It's even going to be better than the 10 episodes that are there. It's going to be ramped up. The comedians are ready. I just need to be able to actually do the thing. So that's the update on that. Somebody bought merch. Somebody bought more baby stuff. I don't know who you are, but fair play to you. You know the usual platforms to find me on. Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find me everywhere, really. So if you want to get in touch, send me a screen grab of where you're watching or how you're watching. It's always good to know that people are listening. If you're watching as a Patreon, because the video of today's podcast will actually be up there, so you can send me that. I don't know who sent me the one the other day. They were in the Emirates somewhere, and they had it on the big screen. Cool. So feel free to send me anything like that. Let me know where you're listening to or where you're watching it, whatever way you're going about it. If you want to send me something long form, buckshotpodcast@gmail.com. Or send me something long form on the old Instagram too, if you want. Chatty Snaps is Tom Bear O'Mahony. Don't really use it all that much, bar when I want to put funny ears on my child, or make him look like an elf. That's really the whole purpose of that thing in my book, And failing all that, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, rate and review. You know the crack. Give it 5 stars. Give it a lovely... Always helps. It just helps people find it faster. The more reviews that are on it. Good news. I gave you the update on the Ramble Pod during the week. They're, McBride, he's happy. He's gotten a microphone of sorts, so we're going to run it tonight. Tonight being last night for the general populace, because you listen to this on the 15th of January. But I am releasing this ad-free to the Patreons and the video's already gone up. Went up last night to the Patreons on the 15th, Thursday the 15th. So, Tom and Jerry Show, we're doing a tech recce, as McBride's text message actually said it, a tech recce. So we're doing that this evening. So there you have it. I'm very, 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 very excited about Tom and Jerry Show coming back. It's going to be nice. No messing about, but bit of uniformity to it in that it actually will have segments and all the rest. So it's just be a bit of crack to get back to that again. What else do I have to tell you about? I'm sure I have a ton of other stuff to tell you about. I do have the Ramble Pod, obviously, to go. I have another Ramble Pod. I'll knock it out maybe a Tuesday. I'm going to do another live one. I enjoyed that live one so much, and it looks like we're going to be in this carry on for a while. So I'm going to do another live one. But it's keeping me busy. Fair play to you, lads. Fair play for people listening, sharing, downloading, whatever else you're doing. If you're very new to it, have a look at that number, 170. There's a fucking langer load of other episodes down there. Everybody's there. Everybody who's anybody is on this list. Go down, have a gander. I know platforms normally only show you the top 10. Go way back. And if you want to become a Patreon, you can watch the videos of a load of them from way back. Yeah, ad-free versions too. But if you don't, just go way back. Have a look. Back to McSavage, number 70. Samantha Mumba, I think she's like number 40 or something like that. Eddie O'Sullivan's in there. Dennis Leamy is in there. Shout out to Leamy, actually, just this morning. I see he got, I just have to text him back. He got the defence coach gig for the under-20s. So fair play to him. Fair play. That's a nice little step up in the ladder. Gets all the Irish merch back again. That's the bit. Getting all the swag, as they call it. So congrats to him. Shout out. Do you know, just go back. There's a load of them in there. If I start listing them off, I'll only insult people that I don't name. But go in, have a look. I think I started reposting ones the other day, just as throwback ones. The first one up I threw up was just for the crack, was Neil Delamere. Delamere's back there like number 13. So do you know what I mean? There's a plethora of good listening if you haven't, and if you're brand new. Now, shut your face, Tom. Get out of the way and introduce today's guest. Today's guest, I come across her a few times because I obviously have a penchant for rugby, and her enthusiasm and excitement and honesty when you hear her, and good crack when you follow her, it comes across straight away. If you YouTube Anna Caplice, I almost said Caplice. Anna Caplice. Although 99.9% of the world, as we discussed, call her Caplice. Anna Caplice. If you Google her, you can't help but just go, class. That's how I wish I would be. But we talk about the people that turn into that robotic, Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands moment. She doesn't have any of that. She's no filter. She's just powerful crack. And when I heard her on Potholes and Penguins with Barry and Trimby a couple of weeks back, I went, right, that's it. I have to. So I messaged and tried to just message the RFU because she's a current player. And just to make sure that it was what it was, that it wasn't some mental project, so. And they were more than lovely. Shout out to Ross, who was very lovely about the whole thing. So he gave the green light, and I was delighted that we managed to bring on board. She has played for UL Bohs, Munster. She currently plays for Harlequins. She's played for the Barbarians, and she is an Ireland flanker. So hopefully she will get a run out if we can get the Six Nations up and running for the women again. You're going to like this one. So sit back and enjoy the legendary Anna Caplice. The pride of Mallow herself. We have Anna Caplice. How are you, Anna?
Great to talk to you. And you've donned your Munster kit for the occasion.
I had to. I was going to wear an old black t-shirt, and then I said, no, we have Anna Caplice, or should I say Caplice, coming on. I shout out to Ross too, by the way, who who gave the green light on this from the IRFU, who he actually wrote her name phonetically.
Taught you fair play to him, yeah. Because I think he's one of the only people that knows how to pronounce it. Actually, there's been so much debate around it that people who know me quite well and know that my surname is Caplice are now confused. And they're now people are calling me Caplice. But actually, Caplice has kind of become a bit of a nickname. Even though I know there's Caplices in Tipperary as well. They pronounce it Caplice, I think, or some do.
They do, and then every other person around them go, notions, 'tis Caplice.
Exactly, I know. Notions, Caplice, it's way too exotic sounding, and everyone's like, oh, is that, a foreign name or whatever? And I'm like, you're not, we say Caplice just to keep it more grounded, so. Yeah, I did a DNA test, and I was very excited about the results because I thought Caplice, as much as we try to say it's not, I thought it might have brought some exotic blood to the line. But anyway, the results came back. I was very excited. I was more than 1% Scandinavian, more than 1% Great Britain, whatever that is. And then, I should have said less than 1% for those two. And then more than 98% Irish. So it came back, with the little greater and less, and I was like, right, yeah, okay. So it's very, I was happy enough with it. That. It wasn't anything too shocking.
Yeah, I mean, if it turned around and said, well, you're 98% British, you'd be like, oh, Jesus, here, come on.
Yeah, that would have been tough to take, all right. So on those terms, I'm happy with the results that came back.
What's Caplice in Irish?
Ní Caplice, or O Caplice, if it's my brother.
Oh, Caplice. Even that in itself is a bit it's schwanky. Like, at least they haven't made too big of a balls of your name because you're in the UK. They can only go one way or the other. Like, try having a name that is O'Mahony and then hand that to a British person and go, say that now. Nope, can't.
No.
Okay. There's
Yeah,
a H.
you're
There's
right,
a H there.
actually.
Can't happen.
Yeah. So you're constantly correcting people anyway, even though your name is kind of straightforward enough in our books.
Yeah. It's just, sorry, mate, can't say it unless it's mahogany and mahoney. Can't say it. Sorry. fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
But of course, were you in England? Were you in England for Christmas and everything?
Yeah, I was. We had a couple of fixtures with Harlequins that kind of were falling across quite close to Christmas. So I actually decided that I wouldn't travel home. Only a few days out, like I was prepared to come home. I had my COVID test booked and everything for the 5-day isolation or whatever, but I decided to opt out, and it was just kind of too much movement between the games. And I was glad I did actually opt out when I did, because I had friends who were, heading for the ferry and got an email to say it was cancelled. Yeah. So I was glad that I didn't have that kind of shock last minute, email coming in to change your plans. But I was due to go to my cousin's here in London, and all my housemates were due to have different plans, and sure, then Boris changed all that. So we had a great Christmas here together as a last resort.
Who did the
Merry
cooking?
Christmas. So my housemate Chloe did the main course, and then and she's played for England as well, so it was a bit of a cook-off. And I did breakfast, and I did the starter, and I did dessert, and I did Irish coffees.
Oh, very good. Very good. I was wondering what you could crowbar in there. So you crowbarred in an Irish coffee. Nice touch.
Yeah.
When you Google Anna Caplice, your mural comes up. How? I just, because I knew known a fair bit about you because of your personality. People seem to, as you said, you're going to be on about 15 podcasts in the next 3 hours. So, do you know?
Yes, you want to hurry on.
Yeah, I know. We'll just speak really quickly. We'll go just pure Munster, so we'll just speak really quickly.
I know. I have loads of time for you.
But your mural came up. I was like, okay, if you're going to do something, if you're going to have something cool from home, because you're always wanting to impress them at home. You could win the World Cup, but unless at home they think you've done something, it doesn't matter. Sure, it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it there. But it's funny. Aer Lingus are wonderful, really. They're always they love having us involved in their campaigns and all the rest, and they're very proactive and very creative. I thought it was a brilliant idea. So it's actually about this time last year, they dropped a few of us an email. They chose they actually chose 5 girls from across the 4 provinces to do a mural of them. And they emailed me and a few other of my teammates, and, all kind of, none of the big cities or anything, just Mallow, Tullamore, Riverstown in County Sligo, and Ballybuffet. And they put a mural up, and they told us this, and I didn't tell a soul. I didn't tell anyone, because I didn't know what it was going to be like. I didn't know if it was going to be big or small, or where would it be. I knew nothing about it. And so I, gave the green light. Like, yeah, absolutely. Geez, I'd love to be involved. And then a few weeks later, I got a picture message sent through from one of my friends from school. He plays rugby for Mallow as well. And he was like, have you seen this? I was like, oh my God, it was massive, on the side of Albert Lynch's pub, up next to the courthouse in Mallow. And I was like, oh my God. And yeah, that's it. It's very cool, but it's very strange, because the fixtures for the Six Nations from last year are on a little plaque. So the idea was, get people watching the games, going to the games, and raising awareness. And those games were never played. We played 3 of those games, actually.
Yeah.
We never finished out that tournament. So weird that those dates are there, but they were never played. I don't know, it's just a strange one. But in the mural itself is pretty class. Yeah, it's unreal.
It's class. It's the full gable end, 2 stories. And they made a really good job of it too, because you see
it looks like me.
Yeah,
it wasn't like that Cristiano Ronaldo job, where they did the statue.
The big long head, yeah.
Oh, and the eyes.
How good would that be, though? Comedically, how good would it be? And the big presentation, we're bringing Anna down now. She's coming over. We're flying her in, and the big reveal, and all of a sudden,
Do you know what I love though? You know, when with things like that, like when it's a bit of a botched job on some artwork, and then they for example, Cristiano Ronaldo, like when they change his face to look like the statue. Oh my God, that cracks me up so much. So that would actually have been hilarious. But yeah, no, they were too good at it now, I must say, to get any laugh off it. It's unreal, like.
Because I remember speaking to Brendan Maher one time, and they were after winning the All Ireland with Tipperary, and he goes, in all the Oaks I've ever won, that a mural of me on the side of a pub. He's like, I don't care. That's top of the pops, like. Yeah,
and a pub we love as well. So, like, you know, I'd be looking forward to going into that pub, you know, in the future. If the
never buying a drink ever again, ever.
Well, we actually went in there I went in to like kind of talk to them and say hello, but the owners weren't there that day, so everyone in there was just like, it was a kind of a typical afternoon, whereas only owl fellas drinking, and they were all like, over, and I was just like, that's me on the wall there. Wanted to meet you know, Albert, say thanks, but he wasn't there. So they were all they were very they didn't have a clue who I was.
It's classic Ireland though, isn't it? Like just pull the wind out of your sails. I guarantee you every one of them knew exactly who you were, Anna. They all just went, keep the head up.
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny, like when it went up and my friend Owen sent it to me, and my very close friends all sent pictures through, and were like, oh my God, this is amazing. No one else has ever said a word to me about it ever.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I think it's not really there. I just dreamed it. No one has said anything to me about it ever.
Did I dream this shit?
It's like, let's go back to Mallow again and drive past Albert's. But I was saying, like, you can't, you know, a lot of murals, they're so big, you can see them from quite far away. But because this is just down a side street, you can't actually see it from far away. You can only see it if you're in court in Mallow. You're standing outside the courthouse waiting to be let in. Your prime view. So maybe that's why no one really knows it's there.
As Anna judgmentally looks down upon you, like just.
I know.
I've always liked Mallow. We played against Mallow a few times because I played with Clanwilliam for years, and then went to college in Limerick and played with Shannon. But I remember playing again. But I remember till the day I die, myself and a friend of mine were driving through Mallow, kind of hung over one time. After it was one of the rugby college sessions, we were coming through. We better stop for some breakfast or something, and we stopped. To this day, I've spoken to Mallow people, and they don't think it exists. Where I'm talking about, that we actually dreamed it and we didn't. And it was like this.
Just like the mural.
Just like the mural. It's like, what kind of Stranger Things town is this? Like, but it was
parallel universe.
Yeah. But it was, we had to go upstairs to this cafe, and everybody up there was about 142 years of age.
Yeah, okay, go on. What else can you tell me about it?
We sat in this booth, right? So we'll call it a booth, but the seats were car seats. Like the bottoms of the seat. Well, my one was replaced, and his one was a proper seat, but my one had been replaced with, I'd say, out of a Ford Cortina or something, the back seat of it. And this guy came out. And they were all wearing like old school shopkeepers' coats. Do you know, like almost like a butcher's coat. Right. And he came out pen and the whole lot. And I remember they charged us through the fucking roof for the breakfasts. Like the breakfasts were double the price. I don't know, did they think we were some swanky dens or something because we actually had our hair cut and our teeth brushed or something. But it was the most bizarre. And we asked for a tea, and this old lady came out with, do you know those, like, they would be for, you know, a function, two massive teapots. And the poor woman, again, she was ancient. She shouldn't have been lifting these things. And she's carrying the two of them out with her head down. She just puts them up on the table and it toddles out. And weirdly, one of them was just hot water to top up the other one. It was the most, like...
No, this definitely was not in Mallow. You're definitely like, you must have been still drunk as opposed to hungover. Because
I've asked him a few times, was it some other town North Cork town? And he went, no, man. Because he's from like Galbally. He's not from that far away. He knows Mallow. And he can't remember the name of the place. But it was, yeah.
But like a lot of people come into Mallow. A lot of people think that it's just a stop on the train, number one.
Yeah.
And that number two, it's just a roundabout. Because, people just go through that roundabout and they'll go to Keary's and Supermax, and then they'll go straight to Limerick or Cork. They don't actually know that if you turn right or left at the roundabout, you're down into a town. Like, people have said that to me, like, oh my God, there's an actual town there. So I'm like, there is no schools and banks and the whole lot. So, I don't think that was Mallow.
Okay. Or I lost my mind momentarily. Two of us lost our mind.
Or if it is, I've been missing out, because that sounds like my kind of place.
So many people have said it to when we have to try and go there, because if like I said it to my wife, she goes, "Geez, Tom, we have to go to this place. This sounds." I went, "I can't. I've been in Mallow a bunch of times since, and I can't seem to." Honestly,
where did you park?
Up near the courthouse, actually. Up near the courthouse.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I worked in Mallow, in and around Mallow for a while. I was doing land surveying before they bringing in the big flood scheme thing, where they were raising the walls. So I did it. I got to see a lot of Mallow. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Maybe it was just a morning we lost in the universe, the upside down. I don't know, but Mallow will forever be in my head. Like it. Will be forever in my head. So how did you?
I'm going to go searching for that place anyway.
I'm going to put a bit more investigation in, Anna, and I'm going to see, because I have to prove myself right. Either that or early onset of dementia.
I actually have an idea. I actually have an idea of where I might check out now that you've said that.
Oh yeah.
Those seats. The
big thing was they were your man was wearing traditional shopkeeper's coat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what's thrown me now, because there aren't many people that would be in character in Mallow, I think. It wouldn't people like notions like Jesus, murals and costumes. No, that's not for the people of Mallow now.
Relax yourself. So what age did you start playing rugby? Was it Mallow first you started playing rugby with?
Yeah, I started playing rugby in Mallow at 17. So like I was obsessed with Munster. Obsessed, like from about the age of maybe 13, 14. And like all through, Munster's glory years and everything, like went to matches, and I used to cry when I couldn't get tickets, and that happened a lot in those days, like, and you had to climb the ranks in terms of connections and things like that. But so when it actually, and I always thought that I would play rugby, but
all right.
Well, only when I started to fall in love with Munster, I was like, God, I'd love to play rugby. But I didn't think that it was an option for underage. I thought that I'd have to wait until I got to university. And that was fine. I'd kind of accepted that, I think, because I didn't really at the time have any connections at Mallow Rugby Club at all. Like my brother played one game when we were younger, and I remember standing on the sidelines like watching and thinking like, oh God, I'd love to do that. And anything that my brother did, I asked to do as well. Like I was a member of the anglers like club, because my brother was, and I loved it. I actually loved fishing. Like, it's a great fishing angling club in Mallow, and I used to go along, and I was the only girl in a lot of things because I used to go with my brother. But because of the physical element of rugby, it was the one thing I never asked. Can I join in with the boys? The one thing that I just didn't ask, could I join in? And one day in school, Sister Breed, the principal, announced on the intercom at the end of a big long, list of prayer services and, assemblies and whatever, she said, and tomorrow night there will be rugby training at 7 p.m. in the town park. I remember it. I remember what classroom I was in and everything. And the whole room turned around and looked at me.
Really?
Yeah, because they knew that I would be very excited by this. So I was obviously very vocal, like like Munster, like school bag and pencil case, and hair clips probably. So, they like, and honestly, since that day, like my life changed. Like rugby just became, from the first session, I remember at the 7 p.m. down in the town park. My first coach was Mervyn Shorten. What a legend, like in Mallow and in rugby, like circles in Munster. Started this, underage girls team because one of the girls from Mallow had been pestering him so much, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I remember that session, it was mucky and cold, and there was loads of girls there all down to try it out, and it was brilliant. And like when I came home from that session, I was in the shower, like washing off all the muck, and I was singing The Fields of Athenry at the top of my lungs, and didn't realise, like it struck me that I was like singing at the top of my lungs and didn't realise like how happy I was. And that was the first day I did rugby, and I never looked back again ever. So yeah, that was when I started. That was when I was 17. So I got 2 years of underage rugby with Mallow, which was an amazing like intro to the sport.
That is class. Like I for a brief period that we had that I got to train people. It was girls in school with me because we were allowed to have a schools team when in sixth year, because we were a technical school. We weren't allowed because that was considered that's an old Protestant sport to be. Yeah, it's Protestant sport. Yeah. Oh yeah, literally our principal. That was his wording of it. I was like, but what? We're all playing it in club anyway. Can we not have? And he finally let us have. No, he didn't. He went away for a year, and the fella that stood in went, "Let's have a rugby team." Right. Yeah, but sure, we had with Galbally, Kilfeacle, and Clanwilliam all coming to school, and we got Alan Quinlan to train us, so we were grand.
Oh, brilliant.
But I remember we just put it up and said, well, we've so many students in the school, and so many girls played sports because it was all the boys' sports, the girls' sports as well, and our girls were really good footballers and basketball players. So we got loads of tall, strong, fast girls. Let's see if the rugby team, they were incredible. Because they were all athletically minded too, nothing was going, oh, I'm not doing that. It was, it was brilliant. They were the easiest people in the world to train, like, because they know.
Definitely. The girls who were from, like, there's a lot of very strong football clubs around Mallow as well.
Of course,
and the girls who came over and played a few games of rugby were brilliant, like.
Had you played contact sport before that?
I played, camogie and football, mostly football, but actually our kind of primary sports growing up were tennis and golf because my mom's a tennis coach. So it's weird, like, to come from kind of an individual sport like tennis to go, like, so naturally into team sports. Like, I just loved GAA. I was good at it as well. So, like, that transferred very quickly into rugby. So, yeah.
Like, your first day, because obviously you went Mallow, and then was it Bohs you went to then in Limerick?
Yeah.
Like, how long were you in Bohs before all of a sudden you got the call in to go training with Munster? Because your hair must have all stood on top of your head when you got that phone call. Like,
I was actually in Munster before I went to Bohs.
From Mallow, then you went?
So, do you know what's really weird about this? We're talking there about viral and internet and things like that earlier. Yeah. So when I started, I'd say I had maybe two or three sessions done with Mallow under 18 girls, and I went and sat down on my computer and I googled Munster under 18 girls because I wanted to find out if this was a thing, because immediately I knew I was in love and that I wanted to play for Munster. And it was so weird. Actually, it's a man from Clanwilliam who started this team, Padraig, oh God, I forgot. Colbert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it came up on the screen. I clicked into it. Trials will take place in 2 weeks' time. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is surely, even I knew then, like, this is an old news article. I've missed this. No, the date was on it. 2 weeks' time is going to be trial for Munster. So I rang Mervyn, and he was like, he's like, I have your name down, and I have a bunch of other girls' names down. And about a month after just starting with Mallow, we went along to Munster trials and got picked to play for Munster under 18s. Played another season then because I did 2 years with Munster under 18s, was the captain in my second year, and because I was probably one of the more prominent members of the Munster under 18 team, they invited me into Munster senior team, and I remember being down at Munster senior training. I was swimming, like,
I can imagine.
Rugby-wise, I was fine, actually, like learning loads, but the rugby side of things was actually fine. I was able to kind
Yeah.
of hold my own there. It was being around older, big personality, boisterous rugby women, and I was only 18 years old. I was terrified. I used to eat my lunch on my own outside down in Fermoy Rugby Club because I was so scared of everyone. And from there, like I remember the evening that my Leaving Cert results came out, I was at training, and like the coach, Fiona Steed, who was a brilliant rugby player herself and loads of Irish caps. She's married to John Hayes. She was the coach, and she said, congratulations to Anna, who's got her offer for UL, or she got her points for her course in UL. And all of the UL Bohs girls were like, way! And she was like, now, she might go to Shannon. And everyone was laughing at her, like thinking that I'd go to Shannon, because all the girls in UL Bohs were delighted. And it was just that I loved the idea of going to Limerick. Like both my sisters studied in Limerick. I was very lucky to just land into UL Bohs, like an unbelievable rugby team. Like I learned so much. Like UL Bohs is probably the biggest, kind of the biggest influence on my rugby career. Or sorry, not probably, it definitely is, because I learned so much there from so many world-class players, and I just happened to go there. Like I didn't say, oh, I'm going to UL so that I could play for UL Bohs. I just happened to end up there. And it was an amazing transition then. So I went from Mallow under 18s to Munster under 18s to Munster senior, and then to UL Bohs.
But still, I can only imagine your first day pulling on the jersey. You're, regardless, even under 18, pulling on the jersey and looking down at the stag and going, I'm actually a Munster player. I'm actually a Munster player after being a fan for so long. It's
funny, like that, like romanticized side of Munster rugby was definitely, for me, it was like, oh my God, like it was unbelievable. Unbelievable, you're right. Like looking down at the stag and being like, that wears off fairly quick.
I'd imagine, yeah.
But you might as well enjoy it when you're, young, naive, and you don't know how tough second journey is going to be, like, because it was a tough old one with Munster for a long time. I struggle with kind of training and playing. I play, what does the forwards coach at the moment say to me? He's like, Anna, you play like Tarzan and you train like Jane.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I'll do anything for you on the pitch, but I train. I'm very quiet in training, at least I used to be. I've worked on that a lot now and I've improved somewhat. But at the time, like I was just, couldn't put my hand up for myself in training. Was just like floating around the pitch in training, trying to learn way too much instead of just applying myself. But on any pitch then, when it came to game day, I could do whatever you want. But it took a long time for me to grow into, being a strong player with Munster. It probably took longer than I would have liked, but because of that reason, because I couldn't train, as well as I played.
Which I suppose that is understandable too, because you came through at such a young age, and like you said, you were eating your lunch out in the car.
Yeah, fact. Yeah, it's funny one as well though. Like something I still have to work on this at times. But like when I played for UL Bohs, especially after my first couple of years there, I was playing so well, and we came up against any team in the country. I never got nervous. I was very confident, and I play very well. But when I got called into Irish training, straight away, like it didn't matter who was opposite me in a UL Bohs jersey, they did not bother me. But when we went into Irish training, same thing, swimming, like, yeah. So it's
is it the mystique of it all? I wonder, maybe, like the fact that it is the jerseys, the red, and it is the green one, like.
Yeah, and like you say, looking down at the stag, and it's such a bigger opportunity that maybe did it, put me back into my box a little bit, or I don't know. It's still something I'm still trying to kind of fully understand, and I've had to work on it a lot because you can't pick someone if they're not training well.
Yeah.
That happened to me a lot. So, so
you can't really turn around and go, no, trust me, on the day I'll bring it. I'll bring it on the day. Just today, I'm not feeling it.
Exactly. When someone else has been training her bollocks off, like, we're going to go with her because she told us she plays really well.
What intrigues me, and I think and probably a lot of people about Anna Caplice, is that there's an air of freshness like when you speak, like when you're interviewed or anything, especially you're just after walking off, and you'd believe everything that comes out of your mouth. Like you sound 100%. Is
that right?
I'm fucking delighted. Like and you can see that on your face before you even say it. Rather than giving, do you know the stock that is out of elite sports people, and they're told these are your stock, you know, and it's all the. Did you ever see that movie Talladega Nights?
Long time ago.
Well, there's an opening scene where Ricky Bobby wins his first match and wins his first race, and he doesn't know how to speak on television, and he's just going, "Yeah, I think the car run real good," and his hands start coming up into the shot, and they're going, "What are you doing with your hands?" He goes, "I don't know what to do with my hands. My first interview." But so many elite sports people, I always think, oh, they've got the Ricky Bobby going on because they're just like, oh, yeah, you know, the team went real good and all. And but you, from day one, any time I've ever seen or heard you, you're like, yeah, how good was that? Do you know that?
Yeah, that was like my first cap with Ireland, and they interviewed me after. I was like, Jesus, it was great. And we'd been like spanked by Canada. I just was so delighted with myself.
I was trying to tally the two up because it does come up when you look for Anna Caplice. That one comes up, and I was going, her first cap was Canada, and they just played Canada. And Anna definitely doesn't sound like she just got beaten by Canada. Like you're like, oh no, it's great. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, you know, especially when you just put in front of the camera, you don't really have a choice, which is a good thing too, you know, just get people to say how they feel. And I think I had just gone over and spoken to my family, and they had all been like, oh, we don't care about the result, we're just so happy for you because you played well, you know. And I think that's then what kind of sent me, you know, spiraling high. Because like it was when I was talking to my family and my friends that had come to watch that the media guy came over, like tapping the shoulder, like, Anna, will you do an interview? And all my family were like, oh, an interview, like. So I was like full of self-importance then, and went rocking over and was like, Jesus, yeah, it was great, like.
But was it a funny household growing up? Because you can, as like a stand-up comedian, this is all I do, and you can see there's a vein of comedian in people, and you can see it in them. It's either in them or it's not, and you have it in you. Like were they a bunch? No, but you do. Like, you know, there's a guess whore in people, and you definitely have the guess whore gene. Like were the guess whores growing up as well?
Yeah. I'd say like being the youngest, you know, you're kind of fighting for like attention, and like me and my brother were very close in age, and he was very witty, so
right.
Probably kind of had to compete with that a small bit. And yeah, I'd say I definitely get it from my mum now, to be honest. I think she's a bit mad sometimes, like, and I don't notice it until we all kind of look at each other. We're like, okay, that's where we get it from.
Yeah. Once you've been away for a while, you come back and you're like, oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, yes, yeah. Kind of, because I'd often, you know, you've probably seen bits online, like I'd take out the ukulele and just play away. Yeah. And like when we're at home on Christmas or we have visitors or anything, like we'd all be just sat around, like, and Mum would burst in with the guitar, playing like the same songs for the last 20 years. And like we're all like fuck off. but that only spurs her on more, and she brings in like my brother got married recently, and she put, like when we were loading up the car, and it was like throughout COVID-19, so we only had the small number of guests, you know, so it was just, you know, the groom's family and the bride's family, and when we were loading up the car, I went to collect them to drive us to the wedding, and she was putting these like cowboy hats into the car. I'm like, we're not going to need those. Like, she's like, you never know. And she'll tell, like, when the band came out later, she comes out with the hat. Or no, she sent me out to the car for the hat. Go out and get the hat. So yeah, I came in and we were all wearing these like cowboy hats. And like something out of Tiger King, but like I think that's where we probably get it from.
Yeah, it was just
maybe
a vague observation there. I'd say there's a possibility.
Very good, yeah.
But yeah, that definitely does help, because that's one of the things when I normally have people on this. So, and it varies, because often when you have to ask people, like the situation with Ross. Shout out to Ross, by the way, very cool sound character. He was when he emailed me about how to pronounce your name correctly, I went, I said, with Caplice is at home. I said, but they did pronounce it
Caplice, but that was just, notions in the Tipperary vibe. Like, Jesus, if only there was a vaccination for notions. I was like, I like a nice touch. Nice touch, good. Ross. Very good. But what was I going to say? I'm after losing my train of thought thinking about Ross. But I was trying, because often when you speak to people and on the likes of the podcast, I normally try to have people on that I have a fair old vibe. If I don't know them directly, they're good old crack. Like, and often when people say, oh, Jesus, it's a comedy thing, I think he might go down. No, I just want to make this good crack. Now, there's a few comedians have ones and they go straight after the misery and all the rest of it. But normally I go after, I want to make a good time and I have a bit of crack with the person. Like, the whole way through.
All my one-liners under pressure,
Bang them out as fast, as much as you want to throw them out. But I do think, you can see stand-up in people as they speak because their timing of how they speak too, because it's a very technical thing, and you definitely have that.
Really?
You have it. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, maybe I could go down that road then when I finish playing. But often, do you know what? Sometimes I feel like a stand-up comedian when I'm teaching, but that only happens kind of towards the end of the year. When they're kind of in a good mood. It depends what the class is like. But I had a class that just really enjoyed German. And I was like, Jesus, these lads, all they want is a laugh. And I felt like a stand-up comedian then, or some kind of entertainer. Anyway, I was exhausted from it.
Do you know what? That's an interesting way you came about it, because so was it teaching or was it linguist? Geez, I can't even say it. Ironically, I can't even say it.
Linguistics. Yeah, applied languages. I studied in UL and then did a postgrad over here in the UK. For teaching languages to secondary school, yeah.
Brilliant. So what languages would you specialise in?
So Spanish, German and Japanese was my undergrad. But I haven't used my Japanese much because I haven't lived there for long enough to be confident enough in it. And I only did it for 2 years in my undergrad because we had 2 placements and I did one in Argentina for Spanish and one in Vienna for German, and then while I was studying to teach here in the UK, studying like the postgraduate in education, I added French as well, did like an intensive 12-week course just to teach it to kind of junior cert level. So I suppose like everyone, so also, how many languages do you speak? And I was like 6, but like, it's a very loose 6. I count Japanese, even though my Japanese is, very, it's in there somewhere. Like, and I count Irish as well because I actually love Irish, but I don't use it enough for me to be competent enough in it. Like, and in English as well, I suppose. So I'll give it a good strong 6, depending on who I'm talking to.
Absolutely. Whoever's listening to this right now, this is the point where you go, God, she can speak loads of languages. This is what, because you joke, right? We mess about it, but Bernard Jackman on the podcast ages back, right? And he was great crack. We were chatting away, like he grew up in an agricultural background. They were actually cattle dealers and stuff like that. And we got into a bit of how he did a bit of Japanese because in his head he was going, yeah, because I could go over there and play a bit of rugby, couldn't I? And I'm bigger than most of them. So I learned Japanese. That's what I'll do. So, and we moved on. About a week later, he sends me a screen grab. This fella from, I can't remember, was it the Kerry group at Glanbia? They were a big dairy group of sorts anyway, who were going to be going over with corporate to the World Cup. And they were going, so we didn't realise you had an agri and a Japanese background there. I listened to you on Tom's podcast. Would you be interested in tying up? And I was like, well, I want 10% of that, whatever. So
there you go.
You never know.
You never know. You never know. Yeah.
So what we'll do underneath the show notes, I list out all your skills, languages.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a job at the moment as well. So that'll.
Have they shut down all the schools over there as well?
No, because I haven't been teaching at the moment. I actually kind of, because of COVID and everything, have been between either moving back to Ireland or staying here. And actually, I can't make a decision on that at the moment because of all the travel restrictions. So, I'm in limbo, shall we say. So just filling my time with podcasts at the moment.
Well, you'll have to start your own podcast now. That's what you'll have to do. Because who would not listen to the Anna Caplice show?
I'd say 1 or 2 and then you'd have enough.
No, what you do is you do what I do and get really interesting people on. Just set them off for half an hour.
That's true as well. Yeah. No, I've thought about it, and I actually thought about it last summer. And do you ever listen to Darren Garrahy's podcast?
Yeah, a couple of times I've
The
listened
Laughs
to it.
of Your
Yeah.
Life. She had a guest on, and I cannot remember who it is off the top of my head, but he said at the beginning of the podcast, and he was like, I've gotten to that stage in my life where, you know, a lot of my friends, if they're picking up the phone to call me, I'm dreading those 5 words. Will you be on my podcast?
Yeah.
Or is that 6 words? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I was like, it definitely turned into that over lockdown. You know, there's so many people, so I starting them and all the rest. So I've ideas for them, but I have yet to you know, set the ship sailing.
What you should do is set yourself out a stall of making 6 episodes. I'll have a season rather than running forever, like, you know, that kind of way. And honestly, it's, yes, people go,
It's all crack. You get to chat to a lot of interesting people, like.
Yeah. Listen, this at least is itching to scratch somewhat of a performance. At least I get to have crack with interesting people, like, you know.
Yeah, cheapers, yeah.
But England then, how did the Harlequins? Obviously, you were doing the postgrad in England. Was there, you were leaving Munster? Who came after you, basically?
Well, I knew at the time that Richmond was a successful English league club, and there's a lot of girls that had just been called into Ireland from the exile program. So a lot of girls that were playing in England that were called into Ireland. So I was like, geez, yeah, that might be interesting. Even though I was, you know, really enjoying playing with Bohs, I studied languages, so I wanted to live abroad. You know, and I know that England isn't exactly somewhere you can practice your languages, but it's the furthest I could go.
Yeah. Well, it's another country.
Yeah. You know, I would have preferred to move to, like, you know, Cuba or somewhere like that, but the flights back were a bit expensive, you know, for camps and stuff like that. Yeah. So so I decided, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. I just kind of had itchy feet, and I'd been in Limerick for a while, and I wanted to give the English Premiership a go. So I actually played with Richmond for a couple of seasons and won a Premiership title with Richmond. And since kind of the women's Premiership is kind of growing in, you know, the professional side of things, I decided to move on from Richmond and join Harlequins. So I've been at Harlequins now 2 seasons.
It's a cool setup. Like, I mean, even if nothing else, your jerseys are class.
That's the only reason I came.
Yeah.
Like, I lined up all the jerseys. Do you know what's funny? When I was younger, I hated the Harlequins jersey. I shouldn't say that, really. But I hated it. I thought it was the ugliest looking thing, but I'd say, to be honest, it's because I hated Harlequins because they beat Munster in Thomond Park in 2007, I think.
Yeah.
And do you know what I was saying? Like, I used to cry when I couldn't get tickets. My God, that Harlequins game broke my heart. We couldn't get a ticket for that game. I could not get a ticket. Had asked everyone, texted everyone, put out, you know, there was no platforms for putting out your message, but like, I contacted everyone. You know how difficult it used to be, like. And I went anyway to Thomond Park, drove up from Mallow, tried to jump the wall, couldn't get over the wall. Was like stuck at the top of the wall.
This is some Angela Zasha stuff. Oh my God.
I was like stuck at the top. My legs were dangling, and I was trying to push myself up. Like, no, I can't do it. And then I was scared because I'm terrified of heights, and that's a big old wall. I was stuck on the side of the wall, couldn't get in. I'd been inspired by my brother. He had done it a couple of times, and I was actually telling because I was working for Harlequins this year as a coach as well. I was chatting to one of the operations guys, and I was telling him about, because Munster and Harlequins are in the same Heineken Cup group this year.
Yeah.
And I was telling them about Thomond Park, and I was like, you know, sometimes when you go into Thomond Park, it's raining children down the wall because they're all just flying over the wall and running across the thing. And like, when you're up on top of the wall, so I've heard, because I didn't actually get on top of the wall, there's all these security guards waiting at the bottom. So like, a load of kids, teenagers, men, women standing at the top of the wall, they all go at the same time and try to dodge and run around the security guards because they'll catch you and throw you out. But
some Game of Thrones shit right there. That's
yeah. And
bunch of wildlings jumping over.
yeah. But you know what? I'll never forget though. My brother. So in 2006, it was Munster versus Sale. Do you remember that game?
I was at it. That was the one I was telling you. Mick O'Driscoll got me those tickets, and it was free drink.
They were gold dust.
It was free drink. These tickets. So I was driving. It was my turn to drive. The old fella was in and out. He was like, "How are we going?" I was like, he goes, "It's free under the stand." I'm like, "Oh, for the love of Jesus!" But yeah, I do remember that game. Sorry.
So well, it was a great day out. But actually, I had got a ticket literally by the skin of my teeth. I had been to Cast the week before, with my friend. We were only in fifth year. Like, we flew to Cast to go to the game, and I met some owl fella there, and he said, "I'll get you a ticket for next week." Because I, at that stage, hadn't a ticket. He was like, "You come all the way to France, you should be able to get a ticket for Limerick." So anyway, he got me a ticket. Couldn't believe it. And my cousin, who we would have gone to the games with as well, a really good family friend, we were both in there. My brother couldn't get in. And eventually we had to say bye to him outside. We'd gone up and down searching for a ticket, could not get a ticket from my brother. And we were standing there, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. And myself and my friend, we were like devastated, really. Next thing, just as the whistle blows, tap on the shoulder, my brother.
Stop.
Like, what she was like, "I up the fucking wall." I was like, yes! And it like made it into the best day ever, because the game itself, the atmosphere, everything was unbelievable. And the fact that my brother showed up like just in time to watch the match, like it was unbelievable. Like, so he inspired me, and I tried to get over the wall the day that we played Harlequins, and I failed miserably, and I had to watch it on my own in the pub down the road. And we lost to Harlequins. It was our first home loss in the Heineken Cup. So that's probably why, coming back all the way around, sorry, after going off on that tangent, that's why I used to not enjoy the Harlequins jersey that much, I think, because I hated Harlequins.
You're there as a spy right now just to infiltrate the place.
Yeah. Me and Jerry Flannery.
Oh, yeah, of course, Jerry Flannery is there as well. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, all right. I know everybody was cursing your man Joe Marler for smashing into Ben Healy a couple of, at the.
Gee.
But there is a thing. He also he doesn't get the Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights moments either. I do find him entertaining, because it's just like, well, sure, look at this is what we're here.
Marler.
There is an entertaining. He's a bit of a dose to a lot of people.
He's a gas man. I
think he's gas.
Do you ever see his profile pictures? You know, in the programs and stuff, everyone's picture is just like...
Yeah.
He's always like...
He looks like a pirate or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, in all of the photos. I love it. I was like, I wish I'd thought of that.
Can you move your eyebrows as well?
No.
You just did it there without trying. Yeah. If you can get there you go.
Joe Marler.
There you go. That's your next Yeah, there is your next profiler for when they're going, Anna, we're going to do some media shots. And you were like, not a bother. I have this. And
we do actually have a South African media guy as well. So that was a good impression.
They're always South African. They're always.
Yeah, it's always a few South Africans knocking around. Yeah.
And then obviously you get the Ireland call. So, oh my Lord. Like, that must be, even though you were saying, you were a bag of nerves going in, you were all quiet, still getting that call was like, I'm just hitting green lights nonstop everywhere here, lads. I'd say I'm the greatest rugby player of all time. How do you keep, like, like, your trajectory was strong. You know what I mean? When you look back and there's still girls, playing with Mallow or whatever, you go, we were there together. And now you must have gone and dug for confidence somewhere, though.
It's a funny one, because it never feels like that. You never feel like, right, I've done it now, I've made it, I'm happy. No, like, even like, I'm talking about my first cap there, and I was so delighted after the game, and I was happy with my own performance. I was dropped the following week after that, so it was never ever up. Like, I mean, it's still a battle, and so it should be, just to push you to be your best, but it's never felt like that. And I never felt like I've come in and gone up, and especially now at, 30-something years, and I've really, you know, not as many caps as I would have liked, or I felt like I could have got when I was playing so well in my early 20s. Like, and I will account that to, you know, my time abroad, which I wouldn't change for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, my time abroad, you know, built my skills as a, you know, a linguist and a person, like, and a rugby player as well. Like, I played rugby when I was abroad. Like, when I was in Argentina, I played.
Oh, did you?
There was no women's team, so I joined the men's team. So I've never forgotten how amazing that was, and that's one of my big whys, you know, why I love rugby so much, is things like that, experiences like that. So I don't mind having gotten my caps a little bit later in life for experiences, you know, such as that. But it's never been easy. I've never felt like exactly what you're saying now. Like,
Yeah.
It's never felt like that. But I think a lot of international players and top performing athletes would probably say the same thing, that it's never clean cut, and it's never that easy that you come, you know, like you're saying, the kind of clear trajectory. Very few players will have had a simple journey to the top.
I suppose watching it from the outside in, you know what I mean, in a wide spectrum, you're going, well, this is how it happened. But obviously there's been a million steps in between all of that. Yeah.
Like a really significant moment in my rugby career was getting dropped just a couple of years ago. Just got the phone call when I felt like I was in a really good place, and I felt like I didn't deserve to be. And I was so devastated. I didn't know what to do after the phone call, so I went down to the shop and bought a box of cigarettes. Like, I don't smoke.
But fags are the only way to start this out.
It was my first time buying a box of cigarettes. I was like bawling, crying, and I was like, "Can I have that?" And he was like, "Are you okay?" He was like, "You don't smoke, do you?" And I was like, "No, it's my first box." And I was bawling. He's like, "Okay, enjoy those." And I went down and I was like, "Do you have a lighter?" And I bought the lighter as well. I actually think he gave me the lighter for free, the creator. And I went down by the river and I lit it and I held it. I'm not even sure if I smoked it or not. I just did not know what to do. I was so beside myself with brokenheartedness, like, but you know, it all, luckily, like the wheels came back on for me, and I was able to kind of get back in the squad and perform to what I knew I could then afterwards. But that was a real, like, when you're wondering, like, why do I do this, and this is so tough, and you know, that's when you question everything. But then it's about coming out the other side of that, you know, stronger. And most athletes will have a story like that, you know.
Yeah. And I tell you, as you were talking earlier about Aer Lingus have been very good, you know, perpetuating the women's game and all. The women's game really is taking off. But women's sport in general, I think, has turned a big corner in the last couple of years, because everybody should have been, because, you know what I mean, everybody should have been watching, because they do with tennis, they do with fighting, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. UFC, you know, women have always headlined the main events. And it was just like, well, the other sport then wasn't, for some unknown reason. But now it would seem like the RDS packing out for the women's games too. It's the right way to go, isn't it? Did you notice a sudden turnaround at any point, or has it been a gradual lift, not just family and friends, but now there's actual fans showing up? Because all of a sudden it seemed like they were properly, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they were throwing a proper light on women's rugby.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that kind of turn like you kind of mentioned there. Maybe in the future, and with hindsight, I'll be able to see it a bit clearer. But I do remember, like, especially the last generation of Irish women's rugby who won Grand Slams, you know, and you know, beat the Black Ferns at the World Cup and things like that. I remember going up on buses to watch those games in the crowd. It was Ashburn, County Meath. Meath was the home turf for the women at that point, and it was sold out and it was packed and it was unbelievable atmosphere. I don't think I've experienced that again since. Like, they were so successful and people were very prepared to come out and support them, you know, and they were amazing games and performances by the girls. And I think that this generation of players has a little bit more to do to kind of get back to that feeling. Or maybe it's because I'm now on the pitch that I can't.
Yeah, you're in it, yeah.
feel it as much. So I don't actually know. We've had record attendances recently, but I think maybe it's because I'm on the pitch now that it feels different, and I'm not standing in the crowd with a nagging in my pocket, singing like at the top of my lungs to support them instead.
I know one of the biggest curses. I was in Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival, for the Comedy Fringe Festival, when the women beat the All Blacks, or beat and my show was on immediately afterwards in a venue right next to it. So I was like, I can't even have a drink because I don't drink. I don't drink when I'm doing stand up or whatever, because you got an hour. You can't be dicking about, like, it's got to be. Yeah. But everybody around me. Now, in fairness, I got a very easy audience, just all poured straight into my my show. But I remember watching, going, this is the turning point. This is the point now, because the men had never done it. This is outside the Three Sisters in Edinburgh. There's maybe 2,000 people going bananas. Whoever, because the Three Sisters has about 5 or 6 actual rooms as well that would have been having comedy at the time.
Oh yeah.
And nobody was in it. It was the gigs. Nobody was going in to see him because everybody was pouring out, because it was such a momentous moment that the All Blacks were finally getting beaten. Like, that's
class.
It was class to see it at the time. And it was like, immediately you're just looking at girls going, this is, and it twigged then. It was like, these are all role models now to the next, and that's a response. It must be straight, because I'm not a role model to anybody bar my child, who is too young to even really know anything about it. You know what I mean? Maybe the odd comedian who asks me how to get jokes. But what I'm saying is, does that come as a responsibility then when you actually physically see, there's young girls over here and she's plaited her hair just like mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And that's come with this new social media age as well,
Yeah.
And, I suppose a kind of a quick reminder for me is that I was on holidays one year. It was actually kind of soon after the World Cup. I was on holidays in Greece on my own. I always go on holidays on my own.
You know the lingo. You're grand.
Not in Greece, but sure, look, I got by anyway. It was grand. I bought 3 postcards and I put a stamp on each of them and I put it on my Instagram. First 3 people to write to me are going to get a postcard from Greece.
Brilliant.
I was expecting my friends, people I knew, like to write to me being like, yeah, I want a postcard. And it was all young fans. And
Class.
I knew that they were kind of following me, that there'd be kind of random rugby people following me every now and then. But I got about 15 messages from like young fans, young girls being like, oh my God, I'd love a postcard. And so I actually ended up sending it to like 3 young girls, like saying like, keep up the good work. And I was expecting to send. No, they didn't have like, pictures of women's bare arses on the back of the ring.
I was just going to go.
They weren't the dodgy ones. They were actually like sound.
That was the first thing into my head going, I hope they were. I hope they weren't. This is going to be very weird. This is going to get very.
Luckily, I wasn't in Magaluf for one of those cases. No, it was safe. It was very PC, yeah.
Then you get to play for the Barbarians. Whose socks did you wear? Did you wear Mallow? Or did you wear Munster? Or did you wear Harlequins? Or who did you wear?
I didn't. I wore a Harlequin sock because, that was my current club at the time. And I wore a Munster sock because I didn't want to have to choose between Bohs, Mallow or Munster. So, Munster takes it all in. So I was happy with my Munster sock and my Quinn sock, yeah.
That must have been unbelievable to play for the Babas, like.
Yeah, it was. What an amazing week. And just the game itself was brilliant. And I actually got a tattoo afterwards.
Did you?
Yeah, so like people, can you see it?
Yeah, I can. It's kind of, is it like
it's a little sheep. Like
it's a sheep.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Because and if you the tradition is that you'd get the tattoo like on the tour. A few girls have done that. I don't know if the men do this, probably not. But people will get it on the tour. I actually the day, kind of a couple of days out, we had some time off and a few people went to go get the tattoo, but I actually went to see my mum and dad, so I didn't have enough time to get the tattoo. But with that game itself, I felt like in the kind of couple of weeks approaching that game that I was off form and that I wasn't performing, and I was kind of questioning, like, Jesus, am I past it? Like, am I off form? Am I not am I not there anymore? And when I played for Barbarians, I played really well, and I was really happy with you know, how I played. That I was just kind of saying to myself, like, don't doubt yourself like that anymore. Like, you know, and I wanted to get the tattoo afterwards to like remind me of that, particularly, like just how good that was. When you feel like things are starting to slip away, they're not. Just pull up your socks and get on with it. So it was unbelievable. The whole week, just you know, a bunch of girls. You know, you get invited to play for Barbarians, so you have to be kind of recommended. So I suppose it's, you know, it's handy to have like a lot of friends in different places, and a few of my friends that have played for Barbarians before. So I suppose, you know, they would have mentioned my name, you know, to Jockers, who's the manager, and just playing with girls from all around the world.
Yeah.
And coming together, and just, you know, what was so great is there's no playbook or anything. You kind of have about 20 minutes to come up with a few lineouts and a few plays, and that's it.
I love
it. You know,
it.
and like all the meetings we have with, you know, any of your club or country teams, like the big long meetings about lineouts and this and that and the other. But actually, if you just go and do it well, you know, you can't beat that. And, you know, do it with conviction and do it with energy. And yeah, it's brilliant. Like, and I love Cardiff.
Yeah.
Like, it's so gas. I had been invited to play for Barbarians the year previous. They went on tour to Colorado, and I told my family, but actually it didn't work out because the dates clashed with a few things, and my family were like, "Oh God, Colorado, that would have been so cool." And then the following year, like, messaged my family again, like, "I've been invited to play for Barbarians again." They were like, "Oh my God, it's amazing. Where is it this time?" I was like, "Cardiff," and they were all like, they were like, "Oh Jesus!" And I was like, it couldn't have been anywhere better in the world for me, because I went to those finals in Cardiff.
Couple of great days, yeah.
Oh God, couple of great days out, which was like in 2008 was like a week before I did my leaving cert, and like I drove over with my dad for the final. But and I also went to a few Irish matches there, which were just second brilliant, and like some of the World Cup games and stuff like that. And it's my favorite stadium.
It's phenomenal, isn't it? Like, it's absolutely world-class stadium. But the best thing about Cardiff is how central the stadium is to the city, because you can be in the pub and be in the stadium 5 minutes later. Do you know, if unreal.
If you're in Paris, you have to get on the train. Same in Dublin. Same wherever, you know, the all the stadiums are
Twickenham and everything, they're all out of it. Yeah,
Twickenham here, exactly. So Cardiff, there's nothing like it. Like, it's unbelievable. So it was just an amazing week and game and performance, and everything about it couldn't have been better.
That's class. I think I've probably taken up enough of your time. You had said earlier that you know, the ukulele and all the rest of us. Sure, we'll burst into now, song, but sure, of course, all your housemates are working from home and all the rest. We can't really go burst.
They're well used to it.
That's just Anna. She's up there. Just
what's that noise? Yeah, well, I have a baron there in the wall as well. I've got whistle and bones and everything, like, all dotted around. So, are
you a music-y family, or was it this was just something you said, you know what?
No, we'd have had, you know, man bursting into the room with the guitar.
Yeah.
We'd always have like instruments at home, just like flung around for entertaining. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't really call it entertainment, just more bothering people until they left, I suppose. But like, we're all quite musical. Yeah, we would have like sang in choirs and played in orchestras and things like that. None of us would have been like solo performers at all. But yeah, she's be musical, all right, I suppose. Yeah.
Was that crossover you did of you did it with the lads from for Barry and Trimby? Yeah. It was genius. It was absolutely genius. I loved it. It was like the timing and everything of this is really, really good. And has Christy Moore gotten in touch? Do you know what? That's where your podcast is going to start. First guest, Christy Moore.
Christy Moore. Yeah. I love singing like Christy Moore. I don't know. I really enjoy it. I love Christy Moore anyway. But yeah, that was a fun one, all right. People seem to enjoy it. I don't know. It's kind of a novelty, I suppose, and like, like I've said before, I said that to Barry and Trimbury. They're like, why do you sing like Christy Moore? I was like, well, I don't have, like, a lot of my very close friends are very, very good singers. So I don't feel like I have a very nice singing voice. So I, kind of put on a different character, and it kind of masks that over,
Yes, I've been doing this in pantos for many years.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
When you stand beside somebody who's going, "Oh my sweet Jesus Christ," right? I'll just be doing the silly character voice over here. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I know you. Well, you can sing better than I can. Like, but yeah, I know. Yeah, after I know exactly what you're saying. It's well, this has been a class episode. Absolutely, yeah. This is fantastic. Thank you so much.
I feel like I didn't ask you enough about yourself.
No. Everybody listening to this has heard every shitting thing I have to say about myself.
Have they? Right.
Yeah. No, we'll have a proper natter sometime when this rotates back to the proper world, and we'll have a right old natter over, a responsible drink, maybe an Irish coffee or something or whatever. But yeah. There's I tell dick jokes for a living. Typically, that's what I do.
Right,
Yeah. Probably one of the most cultured.
And how's that going for you?
Oh, it's gone great right now. Yeah, it's gone great. I've been doing a lot of corporate hosting, so I've had to reel in a lot of the cursing and whatnot and all the rest of it. But it's grand. It's grand. Yeah. It scratches the itch somewhat. You can have a bit of crack with people, but
indeed,
it ain't the real thing. Like, and I don't know.
Do you have to do it? Because now I'll have to prepare myself for what, because when I say goodbye to you on this, I get terrible post-podcast anxiety. Jeez, I didn't tell that story now, or I shouldn't have said that.
Oh no, that's perfect, because I have people back the whole time, because once there's meat left on the bone, I hate absolutely draining the swamp of good stories.
I've had to accept that now, because it took me a while to learn that you can't tell your full life story on any one episode of
no. I mean, and I'm probably worse too for interjecting every so often with stupid stories about where I possibly wasn't in Mallow one time. Like, that's.
Oh no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm sorry I didn't get more stories of the times you were possibly in Mallow. No, it's great crack. Thanks a million for having me.
Well, thank you very much for being on for my second episode of 2021. And sure, look it. Till we get back to things again. Anna Caplice, a.k.a. Caplice. Thanks a million.
Thanks a million, Tom.
Thanks a million, Anna. Follow Anna on Instagram. She's Banana Caplice. Banana Caplice. I mean, there you go. Do you need to know any more? Banana Caplice. She's on Instagram. As far as I go, you know the crack. Tom O'Mahony Comedy would find me pretty much anywhere, but give it a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Give it the 5 stars and a nice little message. Just helps it drive it up the charts more so other people can find it. If you do want to support the podcast, you know what to do. Look in the show notes, the Patreon. Go over there. And it isn't just a case of throwing money down a well when it comes to the likes of Blind Boy, where they just got given money, voila. No, you actually get stuff with this one. Yeah, you do. You really do. You get interaction. We're having a right bit of banter over there at the minute about how to make a cheesecake and how to make home brew. Do you know what I mean? These things are good. As well as that, you get the videos and you get ad-free content earlier than everybody else. What more can I do for you other than calling over and actually talking to you? Which I would totally do right now if the government would let me. Anyway, that's been the podcast. Go on away, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Good luck, a blessing, thanks.